In the beginning, I felt so bad when I'd had to fire somebody. It's nothing I did, but it was what they did to make them get fired. And I felt bad because I knew I was about to ruin their life, their career.
Leadership is tough because you got to do the right thing, even when it's unpopular, and even more so when it's uncomfortable.
In the beginning, I would do anything that needed to be done. If I'm doing it, I expect you to be doing it too.
It's tough to love people, man.
They don't love you back or don't want to love themselves.
That's it. Well, welcome to the Barndo Show. I'm excited for today's guest to just swing a little different and talk about business and life from a little bit different angle, man. But go ahead and tell everybody who you are and kind of what you do.
All right. My name is Brian West. I run Zaxby's restaurants. I have 6 of them, and I've been doing it for about 21 years now.
Man, 6 Zaxby's. I think I weigh 700 pounds if I own 6 Zaxby stores. I'm telling you right now.
Believe it or not, you do get a little tired of eating Zaxby's after a while. Now, my kids don't, but I do.
I know that's right. I be eating fried pickles and chicken strips all day, every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's hard not to grab a chicken finger when you're going out the door. That's the problem. Or sweet tea. That's my problem.
So what's it like in that environment? Because, you didn't start with 6, right?
No.
You started with the first one. So talk a little bit about like that, right? Like, what was the opening the first store like? Like, what was the biggest hurdle for you in that moment?
Oh, man, the biggest hurdle was, it was overwhelming, because I left a solid job at UPS to start this. And I felt like the Lord was calling me to this. And my wife said, I'm going to support you because I believe in you. But, we almost took a half a cut in pay, had kids, 2 brand new kids. Everything was just on me. And it was just, this has got to make it because you don't go back to UPS, your old job. And so it was a lot of hours. I mean, the first couple of weeks, we was putting in over 100 hours a week. I'd go sleep in my truck, try to catch me a cat nap, and then you just needed it to succeed. And the Lord blessed me. But it was a lot of learning, because no one teaches you how to do food costs. No one teaches you how to do par levels for food. And so, you was learning a lot on the fly. And the first couple of years, it was you eat, sleep, and breathe Zaxby's because your family depended on you.
Yeah. Well, it's just like any other entrepreneurial hustle, but you walk into an environment like that as an owner-operator, right?
Yeah.
And you got somewhat of a standard and a playbook, but you're trying to put the pieces together, So getting it started, I know that's a hurdle in and of itself. But then trying to hire people and, in your industry, like you're hiring younger kids and people from all walks of life and what was that like? Like trying to staff it up and create some kind of culture.
You have your day shift, which is kind of a senior people looking for full-time jobs. And then you have your night shift, who is high schoolers. And that's where your revolving door really is. Once you get established with your day shift, you get a solid core. You'll lose a couple of them here and there, but, we've always treated it as a mission field. We're loving on them. We probably do extra things that, we just want to do as a family because we're a Zaxby's family. You see them more than anything. So we love on them and hire them. And, you hire them 3 or 4 times back because you want to believe in them. And but the hiring was tough, because you want to hire everybody you can, but then you see issues and you see problems. And in the beginning, I felt so bad when I'd had to fire somebody. It's nothing I did, but it was what they did to make them get fired. And I felt bad because I knew I was about to ruin their life, their career. Some of these people wanted this as a full-time job and they would mess up. And I felt bad for a long time. And then I had to realize, okay, there's nothing I did wrong. It's what they're doing to cause this issue. And but it takes your toll on you because you're affecting people.
I think that's what makes leadership tough is, one, you love people. I think a lot of times you could start a business and you go into something and it's clear and evident. You love people. I'm a people loving fool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I want the best for people. And I spent 30 years of my life where I would work twice as hard for someone to be successful because I didn't know how to lead. And I would make it my responsibility for them to be successful. And I'd want it more than they wanted it for themselves,
Yeah.
you know? And that's some of that transfer of belief. And like, I think that's a big thing, you know, inside of our company. You know, you hire somebody and like they come in and we try to hire people based off of who they are as a person and then skills, right? Now we're not going to hire somebody that has no skill at the job. That's crazy. But, you know, if we have a bunch of A players come in, we know they got the skill set. We're going to look at them from the person level, right? Who are you? Do you align with us? But I love people so much. And I think the journey of, you know, going from working in a company, being in sales, being a member of a team to leading one, it ain't for the faint of heart.
No.
Because leadership is tough because you got to do the right thing even when it's unpopular and even more so when it's uncomfortable. That's a tough thing, and there's no way to learn it other than do it.
That's right. It's a hands-on thing, and you know, my dad always taught me, you know, if I'm gonna ask you to do something, I'm going to do it too. And you know, that's, you know, I clean toilets, I do dishes, I mop floors. You know, in the beginning, I would do anything that needed to be done, and you know, there's a, you know, if I'm doing it, I expect you to be doing it too, and you know, that's. I don't want to be telling people to do something if I'm not willing to do it too. And, you know, we've done a lot of things and, you know, we were doing homework with kids. Yeah. You know, I'd make them bring their grades in. You know, you can't work until your grades get pulled up. You know, we were trying our best, you know, just to make kids successful, you know, because there's more to life than after high school. You know, we were trying to teach them that, you know, you can make a full-time job in Zaxby's and make a good living, or you can go on to college, or you can go get you a degree somewhere else, or find you a job anywhere else. But we were trying to prepare them for life too.
What an awesome thing.
So it was, you know, some of them got it, some of them didn't get it, some of them come back and try it again. And, you know, shame on us. Sometimes we'd hire them 3 or 4 times and we get burned. But, you know, we just want to keep giving them chances to teach them life lessons.
It's tough to love people, man. But
they don't love you back or don't want to love themselves.
That's it.
And, see the gold and see the picture.
Yeah. But what a cool training grounds, right? To bring in kids and create a launch pad. And so like people like you, man, that build something like that's already going to be a magnet to that age group. To have the heart above people over profit kind of mindset, you know, that I run in this store and God only knows how many hours and what work's going into that, but I'm also going to sit down and hold you accountable to getting your grades done and making priorities of the things that should be priorities at this stage in your life. And I love stuff like that, man. Like it's having a purpose bigger than what you're doing, you know? Yeah. So how big of a gap was it from starting store 1 before you decided to launch into store 2? And what did that look like?
Crazy. I started my first store in 2005 in Gaffney. And then my second store was in Lawrence, I think in 2012. And we opened Lawrence store and we set the all-time record in sales for a week in little old Lawrence, South Carolina in Zaxby's. So at that time, there might have been 600, 700 Zaxby stores. We just set the record for an all-time sales in 1 week. So you can imagine when you look outside your drive-through window, it's 2 lines deep because they're wrapped around your building twice. That was a crazy opening. And the openers, they would send 2 openers with you to help you start. And they're there for the first 3 days. And they looked at me and they said, y'all know what you're doing. Y'all been here. Y'all just hang on, do the best you can. You know, it was scary because, you know, you're putting what you've invested in, what you've made and saved into another store, and you're hoping that, okay, I'm taking it to another county. I'm hoping it's going to be successful. And so we were blessed. You know, it was just a blessing that, you know, the way the store took off and has always stayed strong. And So and then after that, helped open up the door for Clinton. Clinton was only a few years behind it, and then a couple of more stores. So it was a big gap from the first one to the second one because you wanted to get your feet settled. And then you had '08, which was a recession, and so you wanted to get through that. But the Lord opened the doors when they were ready to be open. I'll just say that.
So how smooth was it opening the sixth location compared to that first one?
A lot easier. Yes, sir. It got easier as it went because we had a good base of managers and management, and we were able to train. You have one in Lawrence, you can train your managers and be prepared for Clinton.
Right.
You got other stores in Roebuck, Zaxby's and Roebuck, you can train managers elsewhere. So we were getting to train people before we even got to open the doors, which is very helpful. And then you got more managers that will come and help you on their days off. So
we've
a lot
been
easier.
We've been in that cycle too. So we started the Barndo Co. in 2021 in October. It was just formed an LLC. We didn't really start operating until 2022. And in June of 2022, we moved into what's now our headquartered office over in Duncan, South Carolina. I think we had like 6 employees.
Mm-hmm.
And in January of 2023, we launched our second location in Summerville, South Carolina. And we didn't have a strategy. We just knew there were people down there that wanted the same thing that we were doing up here. And we just went down there with big hearts and big minds and all these things, and really had no idea how to run a satellite office well. We were just going to try to rebuild what we did in Duncan. And then you fast forward to 2024, and we launched our third location up in Dunn, North Carolina, which is, kind of sandwiched between Raleigh and Fayetteville. And when we did that one, we did it different. And that location looked different.
Mm-hmm.
It operated different. It looked like a satellite location. And we had a lot of success out of that store. Like it you could just tell, like from version 1, boy, we was making mistakes hand over fist in and of itself. But to jump into version, Office 2, it was a complete train wreck. And then to go to 3, well, all of a sudden we were like, oh man, we kind of found this. This is functional. Like, hey, this is, and then we opened our 4th location in September that same year in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it was the best launch we'd ever had. Then this year in 2025, we opened Greensboro. We redid Somerville to match all the other satellite locations and moved them into Nexton Square in Somerville and this big, nice design center and all that. And then this month in July, we're launching our Conway store. And we've kind of figured out that recipe, and it takes reps to understand, but we kind of learned the same thing, right? Like, hey, before the store, you need the people, right? And so you got to figure out a training grounds to get people up to speed so that the day that we cut that ribbon and open those doors, they know what to do, right?
That's right.
And we've built demand, and we've done all these things because you can't just open it and then wait on that same incubator period like you did when you first started the idea. But it's tough, man. It's tough to replicate success in other places, but it takes failing every single time to get better. Like you got to do bad to get better. You got to figure out what didn't work so you can regroup and do what did work.
That's right.
And it takes a certain level of psychopath to do it over and over and over again.
That's right. That's for sure. I think if I build another one, both my business partners' wives are going to divorce us. I don't know. They're like, no more. Yeah. But it is easier. We have a good organization now where we have our office set up down here in Woodruff, and we have a marketing lady. We have an office manager. We have district managers, that run. We have GMs. So we have a good core that makes it easier for us to do day-to-day operations and do week-to-week meetings and things like that, But you got to learn. And, once you grow, you hopefully you're making everybody else successful around you and they want to stay with you. And, I've had people with me for 20 years. From day one, I opened my first door, I got people still with me. And, you love on them, you take care of them, they'll take care of you. And they treat it like their own business.
Yeah, I think I want to piggyback off something. So, like, you start it, and I think a lot of times people start businesses and they got the wrong. They're not in it for the right reason, right? Like it's a line different because very rarely do you just start one and man, it's life-changing income and everything's got better. Almost everybody that I talked to took a haircut to start it, right? Like, you went from stability to insecurity. You went from,
Yes.
all these things. Same with us. Like, when we started this company, I was, been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've started and burned 100 businesses to the ground. And I'd worked in, corporate environments and different things and had success. Like, I was making income, but I didn't have anything that I could say, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I had like 6 or 7 little deals going. I was doing marketing, man. I was involved with different trades and doing all these different things. And Barndo was like just another one of them things. I was like, man, we'll do this too. And like, I can invest some money over here, build some houses, sell them, flip them, whatever. And I had a guy ask me one time, what would it look like if you put 100% of you into one of these things and quit spinning plates? And I was like, man, it'd be unstoppable. And he's like, well, why are you not doing that? I'm like, because the journey from where I am to that unstoppable point, I don't know if I can make it through it. I don't know if my wife stay with me to make it through it.
Yeah.
And he said, man, I'm going to challenge you to do that. And that was in January of 2022. And by the end of January, I burned everything to the ground. I said, I'm not doing any of this stuff anymore. I put it all on autopilot if it could autopilot. And I shut down the ones that required me. And I went all in on this thing. And I think I made 10% of my income that first year.
Yes.
But still maintain a positive attitude, right? Because I believed in it. But I did go all in on it. And the reward on the other side of it is it worked, right? But if it hadn't, I'd have to rinse and repeat, right? Like I don't think I would have ever stopped. But I always had a bigger why than just to create a job for myself. Like I didn't want a job for myself. I wanted to be able to build something to impact people. I wanted to be able to impact the people that work for me, impact the people that, are buying from me. I wanted to impact my local community, and one of my claim to fame was like in 2023, we're kind of in our right up close to the 2-year mark of the business. And I have a special needs daughter that, we had fostered her from baby, adopted her. And, we were talking a little bit about before the show, but they had told us she'd never walk, she'd never talk. She was on G-tube. Like she's just a lot of stuff going on with this child. Mm-hmm. And she started walking. And there was a baseball organization called the Miracle League, and I've talked about it 10 billion times on this podcast, but there was a moment where we got her in that. She had a little walker and stuff, and like she's trying to play baseball. She's 4 years old, and I couldn't even afford to pay the registration fee. Somebody covered it for me, right? Somebody in our church paid that registration fee. And the fast forward to 2023, I had this wild idea. Leaving the office, it's a Friday afternoon, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm headed home, and I call the water park in Duncan, and I was like, hey, what's it cost to rent that thing out, like private? And they were like, well, it's this. And I was like, cool, I want to do that. And they were like, well, we only have one day left on the calendar this year. I said, cool, I want that one. And then I hung up and called my finance guy. Said, hey, I just want to let you know, I rented a water park, and we're going to throw a summer bash for the Miracle League. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, we're just going to throw a thing, and we're going to do a big donation thing. And we did it. And we donated $35,000 to them that year. And it blew my mind. I was so excited by that. And that was the full circle moment for me of why. Mm-hmm. And it got bigger. And so then like last year we did it, and we gave $148,000 or something to the Miracle League. And we're getting ready to do it for the 3rd year in a row. Mm-hmm. And that why was worth it. Like my ability to impact was worth it in those early days of starting that company, and like all that struggle and all that time where it was like, it was never about me to begin with. Yeah. My family's been taken care of.
That's right.
But I was always focused on how I help other people. And by focusing on them, I think a byproduct was it took care of me.
God took care of you, didn't
100%. 100%. And, so like the paths overlap. We both go to a pretty large church, and we go to the same church. God pulls you in a million different directions, and like you never know like what it looks like to just fully serve until you get years into living like that, and you look back and you go, man, like, I'm doing exactly what I was called to do. I am doing that. Like, I am in the spot that I was destined to be in, to lead people in a way that serves him.
Yeah.
And you share that too. Like, you plug in like the generosity aspect of what you do and all the organizations and stuff that you support and all that. So, like, talk a little bit about that. Like, beyond building it, and I know you had a passion for helping kids. You and I both have fostered kids.
Yep.
That there's something that's in there that, like, you find that, and then you realize, like, you're capable of building something. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we have tons and tons of entrepreneurs that watch this show, and they feel stuck. Because I can remember I served in the church, right? Like, I was doing street ministry, all kinds of stuff. And I remember saying, like, I had a heart, I just ain't got the funds. Like, I'll do anything I can to help people, but send me people with money. And I had the resources the whole time to become the revenue. I just didn't know that about myself.
Yeah.
So fast forward years later, you're in a position, and, like, it's worth it, right? When you're in that desert season, you're in that first store sleeping in the parking lot, working 100 hours a week. Your wife's looking at you like you lost your mind because you're like, I've been called to this. It's worth it. The Barndo Show is sponsored by the Southern Farmhouse Collection by the Barndo Co. If you are in the market for a new home, and maybe you've explored the barndominium side, but you need more space for your dollar, and you're limited by budget, check out the Southern Farmhouse Collection. What we've done is took a traditional build style, applied it to all the tried and true and loved and cherished Barndo Co. plans. You can check out more details about the SFH Southern Farmhouse Collection at thebarndoco.com.
On our way to Clemson to take care of my daughter, she's moving. We moved her again. My wife asked me, if you didn't do your job, what would you do? If money didn't matter. And I honestly said, like yesterday, I said, probably would serve somewhere with children, because, God has laid that on both of our hearts, a passion for children. And it's like you said, you start out, my job was, make a living for my family. And then, if I can take care of my family, what can I do with my resources? And, we became foster parents for 12 years, which, like you said, we talked about before. It was a blessing, but it's not the easiest thing to do. And, I always told the Lord, because my job before Zaxby's was UPS, and you just worked, got in, went home, got home late, you got up early, I told the Lord, if I ever have a job where I can help you, I'm going to serve you whatever I can. So that's what really plugged me into the meal. On Wednesday nights, we started serving kids for 50 kids, and now we're doing, I think, 500 every Wednesday, and that's only half of them. So, the Lord has blessed me. I was always taught you cannot give the Lord, and which is so true. He's blessed us so much, and children are just a passion and a conviction that me and my wife have always had to help. And so we were foster parents. Our business is a ministry, there's kids we're always helping, whether it's behind the scenes, giving money to, or doing donations for different organizations. So I'm a member of the Kids Club, what used to be the Boys and Girls Club in Cherokee County. I've been doing that for 20 years. So just the Lord has put on our hearts to serve children. My wife and just got back from Nicaragua, serving the Pearl Foundation. So, if we keep our focus on the Lord and what He has put on our hearts, the job becomes, it's still, you need an income, but it becomes a second nature, second hand, because the Lord is working with you so much. He's blessing you everywhere you can be blessed. And so keep your eyes focused on the Lord, and He'll get you through the highs and lows, because there was a lot of, lows, you're worrying about. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket in Zaxby's in the beginning. Is this where you want me to? It was one of the first things I ever felt like the Lord was calling me to. And I remember that. I said, Bonnie, I really think we need to do this. And she said, okay. And there was a journey. I just posted a picture of yesterday, and it was a picture 15 years ago of us Zaxby's managers. and at the first store. And I said, if you could go back, what would you tell yourself 15 years ago? You know, what would you tell yourself? And a lot of them said, stay true, stay strong. It will get easier. And, you know, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, if you stay focused and stay focused on the Lord, he'll get you through them.
Well, it's fun to have those moments. 2 weeks ago, kind of the first week of July, I took my whole team down to Charleston. We do it every summer. It gets bigger and bigger and crazier, but we go down there and we spend a couple days. We do a quarterly offsite every quarter with our whole team, just to kind of realign everybody, right? Because we're all spread out all across the Southeast, and it's fun to get everybody in a room and remember the main things.
Yep.
But then we always go out and do fishing charters on a Friday, you know, and so we're down there, me and my business partner, we're sitting out there. We got 60-something people sitting in this room here. We're getting ready to go up and start doing presentations and stuff, and we're sitting out on this patio, and he was like, man, if I could go back in time and tell those two dudes that were sitting in that little rental office over off Pelham Road anything, I'd go back and tell them it's going to be all right. Because there's a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of wondering and worrying about everything. And the wondering and worrying never goes away because you just transfer it. You're not wondering and worrying about yourself so much anymore, but you're wondering and worrying about the 60-something people and their families that work here. But it's kind of like that light at the end of the tunnel. But being caring about people, I do have something I want to ask you about because I use this comparison often in our business. Because no matter what you do, no matter how good you're at doing it, and no matter what the heart and the mission behind it is, you are a human being, and we rely on human beings, and we're going to get it wrong sometimes. We're gonna make mistakes, and my team sometimes, like, I'm immune to that because feedback's feedback, good, bad, indifferent. It's feedback. It's all positive to me because it allows me to know what needs work. But it's hard sometimes, especially you know, younger leaders and new people in the thing. Like, they take it super personal and they take it at an emotional level to see somebody say something negative, right?
That's right.
But I've always said this. I said, look, guys, we live in a world where someone can go to a fast food restaurant and get something wrong in their order, and they'll go on Facebook and talk about it. How much more so are they going to do it if they're investing $500,000 into their home if something goes wrong? You have to have a threshold of anticipating it. And I've used that comparison forever. I said, we live in a world where people will literally take time out of their day to post on Facebook about their fast food order being wrong. You got to be thick-skinned. That's just the nature of the people that we serve. Everyone has this in them that they want to rant, and we have these massive public audiences for them to do it in, right? And the only thing in it, confident people don't need that, right? But insecurity needs someone to affirm. And so an insecure person will do it in hopes that someone will comment, I agree.
Yeah.
Because then there's strength in numbers, right? I can hide from my insecurity and have false confidence if I can just get enough people to agree with me. And so, like, I've used that time and time again, but you're in that space. And I think about how awful some people treat people in those environments. And you got young kids and you got other people that are there that's full-time line of work, they're providing for their families here. And, like, you're serving the general public at a basic human need of food with a convenient and quick service. And you've got this blended staff of high school kids to senior people and all these moving parts. It's almost like a miniature assembly line in that restaurant. What is that like to be in that environment and serve a $7 sandwich and have someone lose their minds over it? Like, that's for me would be the hardest job in the world.
Well, as growing in this, doing this over 20 years, you learn real fast. You're not going to argue with them. You're not going to win the argument. You're going to make mistakes.
Yep.
Own up to your mistake, try to fix your mistake, and do the best job you can to make that person walk away happy. And don't, we mess up, and like you said, when you mess up, they'll get on Facebook or something and 20 people already responded, but if you do something great, nobody ever says anything about that. Every now and then you'll get it, because I know a lot of people in all these counties. And so, it's good to hear, hey, they did a great job here. But you don't hear that on Facebook a lot of times. Right. And you just hear what you've done wrong. And a lot of times my marketing lady or me or my business partner, Tony, we'll get on there and we'll try to make it right. We'll contact them. My business partner, Tony, went up to a guy, he, had some negative comments about we messed up an order. We went to his business and made it right. We try to make what is we done wrong, make it right. And, if you love on that customer and you agree with that customer, or, sometimes you are right, but you still just eat the food and just make them another plate. And, but if you don't argue with them, you treat them with respect, they'll eventually calm down and love on you. And that's the hardest part. I know how to do that. My DMs know how to do that. My GMs know how to. It's that manager that you're training when someone gets in their face and hollers at them, how are they going to respond?
Well, that was my question is, how do you train the emotional intelligence level to someone to respond to that like that? It's got to be tough because it's instant feedback.
It is. And they're going to make mistakes, because I didn't learn that in the beginning either. I made plenty of mistakes going back with customers. And, but, you learn from this and you take them to the side. Hey, this is what you did right. This is what you did wrong. It's always training, no matter what age or how long they've been with you, you're still learning in the customer service world. And you just try to, if you love on them people, they'll eventually calm down and realize don't argue with anybody because they're just going to argue back with you and get louder. Yeah. And it ain't going to do anything for the people watching all this. Just love on them and do the best thing you can and then serve them with love. And you find that it calms them down.
It does. People don't know how to respond to it because there's a lot of, it's instant combativeness. And like we live somewhere it just became the standard. Right? Just get loud.
Get loud and argue back.
Yeah.
And that don't solve problems.
It doesn't. And it's tough. And like we have a lot of young people in our company, and we have a big emphasis on what we're doing. And so we have very seasoned people. We have people from all walks of life. We're about a 50-50 blend, male to female, in a construction company. Almost unheard of. But we also are really close to a 50-50 blend of 20-year-olds to 50-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And when you have somebody like that and you got a young person in a role, in a positive culture, and they're excited, right? Because their life's different. Mm-hmm. Their life's different. If they come in and they get employed at the Barndo Co. and they lean in and they really try, chances are within a year or two, their life's completely different than anybody around them at their same age, right? And so they're in these environments and we're setting them up for success and you're kind of pushing them out. And it's regardless of age, it's based off experience. But you see someone out there and they're learning to get it and go, and then they get punched in the face with something, and it's so hard to teach people that it's not personal.
That's right.
And and that's one of the biggest battles in the thing is like, again,
and they're wearing your name on your shirt, and you're representing me too.
Yeah.
And
so it's. That for me, I was just thinking about that while we were talking, and I'm thinking like, man, that's the comparison that I use in my own company. You literally live in it, so I wanted to tap into that to see, because it's got to be with 6 stores and who knows how many employees and who knows how many thousands of clients that you're serving on a monthly basis. Like, I can't imagine, because it's so instant. Like ours, it'll trail out, 30 days later to sometimes 6, 7, 8, 9 months later, because the tail's so long on our product, right? The people came in, they had a conversation. Some people don't even like the conversation. They instantly go on there and they blast somebody. Yeah. Or somebody comes in, they're going through the process, and they get to the very end and they have one little bump in the road and they just instantly unload. And then like, this person's getting blasted and they're like, man, I haven't talked to that client in 7 months. Like they're not even...
Ours is instant. Ours is immediate,
Yeah.
And that's challenging, and I think we talked about foster parenting, and, that prepares you.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't learn patience as a foster parent, you're in the wrong game too, because patience when you're dealing with customers, whether in foster children or things like that. God will protect you, but man, you'll learn patience real quick. And patience wasn't a good virtue of mine 20 years ago. Some of my employees will tell you, so you learn real quick to not aggravate the person, the customer, just like a child, some of them children, you can just, if you poking, you're poking them and just a bear will come out, and that's the same thing in our world. We just try to love on the customer, try to make our mistakes right, and try to make them want to come back. And that's the key. Will they come back to you?
Well, I guess we can wrap with this, but I think you've got some really unique experience, right? You got a heart for people. You've went through startup phase 6 separate times, and it got easier each time, and now you've got the conglomerate managing, like you've took it in 21 years from a guy with a vision to a guy that's got experience to match it. What advice would you give someone who's either A, thinking about launching a company, or B, they're in a company and they're in those formidable years, right? And it's hard. It's way harder than they ever anticipated. They're doing everything. What would you give to encourage them?
Stay strong. Make sure, for me, when I left one job to the Zaxby's I was in it 100%. Make sure you're in your job. You're selling out for this. This is it. There's no tomorrow. Be in it, be 100% in it. Don't just, we have some franchisees that want to come pick up the paycheck, go to the bank. You need to be involved. You need to know everything that's going on in your store in the beginning. If you don't, you need hands-on. And leadership is, I can tell you to go do something, but a leadership will go and do it with you. And be willing to do everything and anything. Stay the course. It's hard for startup businesses, but if you're sold with a good product or whatever you're selling, and your heart's in it, and your mind's in it, and you're 100% in it, just stay the course, because it's nothing easy. It's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
There'll be highs and lows, and for a long time, you just ride the course, and money will come up and down, but keep your head. When you get some more money in there, don't go spending it all of a sudden, because there's going to be rainy days too, and just keep a level head about yourself, because good times will come.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you taking some time to come hang out, talk on the show, and let us mix it up a little bit, and tie chicken into Barndos, because, I guarantee you, if we build 300 barns this year, 300 of them is eat at Zaxby's. So, but
that's great.
I appreciate your heart. I love what you do, and it's super fun for me to sit down and talk to other business owners in completely different areas and just see how much aligns. Right? If you're having success, it's because you made the main thing, and it's got to be people. If you focus on your people, profit will come.
That's right.
So,
everybody sells, chicken. Everybody's selling construction. Everybody's got their different niche. But, what keeps people coming back to Zaxby's? We got good food. We got quality food, but we got to have good support and our good customers and good clientele that love on, we love on them, they love on us. And so my staff is, top notch. And that's what we try. We're training people not to sell chicken, but to sell Zaxby's and love on people. Yeah. And, your customers will come back, You got good food, you got to have good service with it.
Awesome. Well, if you're in any of the areas where he's owning stores, stop by and get you some chicken. But I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.